I take time to greet you all and appreciate that you had the chance to listen to this conversation here today. In conjunction with the youth program of a number of students that I have had to interact with, I take this opportunity to present a topic that conflicts or one that many young men misunderstand. And by so doing, I want to hope that I will have touched the souls of these young men as they grow to become better persons, not only to themselves, but to the rest of the world. My name is Nyaata Omoni, and uh, am a teacher of English, but I'm also a leadership trainer. I train people to think about themselves, think about the world, and what it is that they would like to become. I am a mentor and I believe in the positive unfolding of capacities that are hidden or inherent in members of the youth. I enjoy to see young life unfold in my hands. Today, I am going to look at leadership. Just before we make any definition of what leadership is, I would like to ask a few questions in consideration to some two or three scenarios. I remember a case of a fire in a school in Nairobi, Kibera, Moi Girls Kibera. And in this fire incident, a young girl walked courageously to return to the room where the fire was taking place and actually had her colleagues out. She did this consistently until she made sure that everybody was out. But unfortunately, this young girl was overcome by the fumes and the smoke and finally succumbed and was discovered later by people that responded fast uh, to have been burnt to 66% degree. The second scenario is a situation where in playgrounds you find the people playing and there is a match. Maybe, yeah, one of the little boys in the field, in the playground, has brought this ball that has been created from the use of poly bags, and to me, it's a toy ball. And as you play, a referee emerges from nowhere amongst the young people and starts to officiate the match so that the rules can be followed. I don't know how those two scenarios can be looked at, but look at the third one. In home situations, you will have a group of children seated in a room, and if there is the time to the evening approaches, you will realize that the doors and the windows need closing. So after they have been closed, there's a little sound outside. It is common for one of the children to actually step out to find out what the noise was, whereas the rest cuddle and maybe squeeze into a corner to hide away from whatever it is that is making noise outside. In giving these scenarios, I am asking whether we look at leadership from the point of view of being created in the human, or is it something that one is born with? Now, the question about leadership is something that has been there for quite some time. Many philosophers have come up with definitions, some practical, others impractical. But we are aware that the word leadership itself originated from the Hebrew language. In Hebrew, there is the word najid. Najid, for the Hebrews, stood for occupying the front. In other words, leaders who are supposed to be occupying the front or being at the front position. I love one writer, Miles Munro, God rest his soul. He is my mentor. In his book, The Spirit of Leadership, Miles Munro has defined leadership as simply a unique mental attitude. In other words, a state of the mind. And in this unique mental attitude, Miles Munro has made a reference to leadership as an internalized discovery of oneself. In other words, you cannot be a leader of anybody until you have appreciated being a leader of yourself. And that is why in this self-discovery of oneself, I refer to an attitude of self-awareness. In other words, you need to know whom you are instead of allowing other people to know you for you. And for you to be the best leader, you must first of all be the best leader of yourself and simply be the best of you. It looks as this unique mental attitude as something that is coupled with a strong self-concept. You as a leader must have a strong self-concept. You must be aware of yourself. And this awareness is basically emanating or comes from an aspect of self-value and self-worth. In other words, you must believe in your value. Otherwise, you will be walked over. It is important that as a leader, that is a Miles Munro, a mentally stable person, have self-confidence. In other words, before you run, you should appreciate what it is that is chasing you. It is in this that he goes further to say that to be that kind of positive leader, then you must have a remarkable degree of self-control. Because if you don't control yourself, you will be controlled by others. You simply become a push button so that you are turned on or turned off. But it is important that you appreciate that the self-control is something very, very important in that leadership. This kind of leadership, therefore, is a leadership that is influenced by what you think. It is influenced by how you think. And that is why the Bible and Miles Munro have actually warned us that what I mean is that Miles Munro, in reference to the Bible, together with Mahatma Gandhi, have insistently told us that it is what we think that makes us what we speak. And it is what we speak that becomes what we are ready to act as. And it is what we act as that leads us to developing some kind of behavior. And this behavior that comes out of what we speak becomes a character. And the characters in the long run just become our destiny. That is very, very important, therefore. for us to appreciate that whatever we think in our minds is the reason why we become. The Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. It is therefore to be very, very careful that whatever our minds think about, whatever our minds hold in, culminates in our eventual characters. John Maxwell has defined leadership as influence and nothing more, nothing less. In other words, as a leader, you must influence other people to do what it is that you would like them to do. In other words, you bring them on board, you buy them into the action, and they are able to carry out whatever it is that you want them to do, probably without complaining or as part of a team. And finally, Kate Davis. Kate Davis looks at leadership, and I quote, as the ability to persuade others to seek defined objectives enthusiastically. The ability to persuade others to seek defined objectives enthusiastically. And I want you to note that word enthusiasm as a very, very important aspect of leadership, because when you are enthusiastic about what you're doing, you are passionate, you are involved, and you do it with one heart. And that is the background of teamwork in leadership. What then are the characteristics of these unique leaders that have a unique mental attitude? According to Miles Munro, the first characteristic of such leaders is passion. You, as a leader, whether young or old, must be passionate and committed to what it is that you're offering leadership about. Because essentially, you are not able and you cannot do what it is that you are not passionate about. You must like what you do and do what you like. Another characteristic that he focuses on is teamwork. A team, the word team stands for together, each achieves more. T for together, E for each, A for achieves, and M for more. And this is related to another characteristic of these unique mentally equipped leaders of delegation. Delegation is allowing other people to do what you would have done by giving or creating opportunities for others for the achievement of the common goal of the organization or of the basic objective of what it is that you have set to do. In a football team, we have attackers, we have defenders, we have midfielders. This team cannot work if one person struggles alone. Attackers must fetch the ball, defenders must distribute, midfielders must distribute, and we also even have defensive midfielders. So these people work together to the achievement of God. And a remarkable team can only work in teamwork. And that is why in a common story that is told about teamwork, we have referred to the story between the battle of in a race between hare and the tortoise. In an African traditional story, when hare and the tortoise were involved in a race, the first race that was run was actually won by tortoise. Why? Because hare, who was very complacent and very, very proud. Having set off in the race, stopped somewhere to rest, knowing that tortoise will actually come to the end of the race after day. Tortoise, who was slow but very, very consistent, completed that race. And when Hare woke up, Tortoise had already completed the race. In the second race, Hare won by that day. Why? He had dropped his sense of pride and complacency. Even if you're the best, you can still be beaten if you're inconsistent. So remarkable leaders must have a remarkable degree of consistency. Remarkable leaders must have a remarkable degree of a controlled sense of pride. It is good to be proud, yes, because nobody can be proud for you on your behalf. But it is important to realize that pride for the sake of pride can actually be your undoing. I therefore insist here that having won the second race, Tortoise insisted that there has to be a third race. And for him on this third race, he said he had to choose the route. And on this route, Tortoise put a big river in between the finish line and the starting line. Hare, who is not a competent swimmer, would not complete that race. But Tortoise, who is, actually swam across and completed the race, which was just across the river. This is leadership by manipulation. And here Miles Monroe again says, leadership is not a product of manipulation, but inspiration. Remember, Tortoise manipulated by changing the goalposts and won the race because he used the weaknesses of Hare. So as leaders, we must learn to build on the weaknesses of others, but not use them to manipulate them. And that is why this story teaches us a lot in the fourth part, whereby there was a fourth race. In the fourth race, each of the participants, Hare and Tortoise, chose to capitalize on the capacities and the strengths of each other. And the race was won together as a team. Why? Hare, that was very fast on land, carried Tortoise, and they ran together to the river. Tortoise, that was very good in swimming, carried Hare and swam across the river with him. And when they got to the shoreline, to the bank, Hare carried Tortoise again, and they crossed the finish line together, and they won as one. Teamwork. In teamwork, it is give and take. You cannot be the best of everything. Going back to the first story about the young girl from Kibera, she was saving other girls from the room. None of the teachers in that school who was older would do what she did because she was there first. So she took initiative. Having taken initiative, that tells us that another quality of these remarkable leaders is initiative. Don't just sit there. Don't wait for what they are going to say. As a leader, if you don't like the distribution of flowers in your compound, at home or in school, take initiative and propose better ways of distribution or of landscaping, and that could be done. The fourth characteristic of these leaders is innovation. They innovate. They're creative. It is important to imagine new ways of doing things, because even the old things actually bore. And I know that as young men today, you are bored by the same way of doing things. These computers that have come and this COVID-19 situation that has left you seated at home, instead of spending time standing on fences and under trees, footpaths, between where girls are found standing with boys, and you ashamedly never even move from the way as old men like me, the color of my hair, are passing. Spend some time to create a way of involving these groups in creative activity. Spend some time in creating working relationships on using these computers. I'm doing this topic here by invitation of a member of the youth, one of my students, who came and asked that I have this talk with you. So I want to believe that instead of putting your energy in those walks all over the estates, the villages, some of you getting pregnant, others getting diseases, innovate better ways of meeting, innovate better ways of interaction, and utilize these gadgets that you have, especially the smartphones, so that you're able to look at the components and what it is that they contain. The internet is awash with a lot of information and people working very hard to make life meaningful. So please spend some time to do meaningful, creative, innovative activities rather than some stupid get togethers that don't allow you to grow at all. Such leaders that are unique in the mind are persistent. And I want you to never, never, ever give up. Kindly, giving up and losing hope is one of the most dangerous things that you can ever do as a member of the youth. So kindly be very, very persistent. Like a rabbit that went to buy a carrot in a shop. And this rabbit went to the shop and said, "Shopkeeper, I need carrot." That was day one. And the shopkeeper said, no, there are no carrots here. On day two, he was there again. No carrots. Day three, the shopkeeper was forced to tell him, "You turn up here tomorrow, I will nail you to a wall and people will know how I deal with stubborn rabbits like you. I don't even sell carrots here." On day four, rabbit was there and he said, "Shopkeeper, in this shop, do you have a nail?" And the shopkeeper said, "No, we don't keep nails here." So for rabbit, danger number one was cancelled. What about a hammer? Well, a hammer can only be found at home. For rabbit, danger number two was cancelled. So he boldly stood there, having cancelled all the dangers, and asked for his carrots the fourth time on the fourth day. My dear members of the youth and anybody listening to me, be persistent. Even God in the Bible says, be persistent in prayer. Don't give up. It is important to have discipline and a remarkable degree of self-discipline as a leader. And self-discipline can, according to Jim Brown, earn you the whole beach, the whole of it can be yours. But if you lack self-discipline, you can only spend one day on the beach, run out of money, and go back home. Self-discipline. It is important to have focus as a leader, to have a vision. I'm in love with the lady, Helen Keller. Helen Keller, she passed away dumb, blind, and mute. Helen Keller wouldn't see, she would not hear, she would not even speak. But she died having left me one of the best statements I have ever heard. And I quote, "The tragedy in life is not to lack sight, but to have the sight and lack the vision. The tragedy in life is not to lack sight, but to have the sight but lack the vision. Fail to have a focus. Vision is what you look forward to. There are many of us who look but don't see. And there is a difference between looking and seeing. That is why I believe that these statements from a lady that could not see gives us a challenge that in leadership we must have a vision. You must know the direction to which you're taking your people or taking yourself. You must set goals, and these goals must be achievable, because anybody can set goals, but are the goals achievable? And you must appreciate, and I have time in another topic we can talk about achievable goals and how to set them and proceed to the achievement of the same. So it is important to appreciate that a vision is very, very important. And literally, if you do not know where you are going, any road indeed will take you there, because you are okay. If you think you are not going to make it, you are okay. If you think you will make it, you're still okay. That what you think becomes essentially what you're going to achieve. It is important that as a leader, you have a remarkable degree of time management. We have suffered greatly from procrastinators, people who push to tomorrow what they could do today, people who wait for others to make things happen before they respond, people that watch things happen, people that things even happen on. It is important that we focus on being able to do what it is that should be done today, so that we accomplish. We live in one-day compartments of achievement as we move on to put together what it is that we need in our vision and in our life. A remarkable leader must be confident. And if you're not confident and courageous, then you cannot lead. Why? As a leader, before you run, know what it is that is chasing. Otherwise, you could even run into a trap. So be courageous, be confident. And when you are courageous, you are able to think positively. But if you are shaky and, you fearsome, you lose direction. Yeah? I'm a member of the Catholic Church, and we believe that fear, anxiety, and anger are actually sins of sacrilege. You can go to hell for having those three emotions affecting you. So, as a leader, you must be courageous, because definitely there are people going to test you, and you must, just like the Bible says, be the mountain of Zion. You are not shakeable. Leaders must have patience. Yes, because you must be tested. Remember that as a leader, not only of yourself, but even in a team, there are those who would like to find out whether you have the capacity, and they will test your patience. So if they test your patience and then you crack and become angry, they'll simply say, look, what kind of leader is this? So as they test you, you as a leader must appreciate that indeed that is going to come your way. So watch and don't make yourself a push button, as I say it. Leaders have a peaceful mind. They think positively. Leaders have compassion. It's like the passion we talked about, the committing, but down here they got compassion. In other words, they empathize. They put themselves in the shoes of others. But in so doing, do not allow yourself to be misused by conmen and other people that will spend time to capitalize on your good nature. Okay, yeah, you must have the strength to identify a conman and people that want to capitalize on your good nature to make themselves important. It is therefore important for us to appreciate that as leaders, if you put into consideration these aspects that I've made a reference to, you will actually be a remarkable leader. Now, true leaders don't seek power. Can we get that? True leaders don't seek power. They are driven by a passion to achieve a noble cause. True leaders don't seek power. They are essentially driven by a passion to achieve a particular cause. So you seek leadership not because of power. You are aware that many of you are in love with our political positions. Many people who use a lot of money in this country, Kenya, and even in the world, to get leadership positions, not because they have any leadership to offer, but because they want to create more wealth. Those are not leaders, those are businessmen and have commercialized every activity. And I want to appeal to members of the youth. A good leader will not pay you to vote for him. And that is why probably we have very few good leaders ascending to power, because the attitude of our members of the youth and even old people is that they don't accept to vote for someone unless they have been paid. And I want to say this paid because we are bribed to go to vote. But the thing that I think is a bit discouraging and essentially annoying is that some of the bribes we receive to go and vote are so small. You're given a lesson, you're given some salt or even sugar, and you can hear an old mama in the village saying, well, I will vote for him, at least he gave me salt. I will vote for him, at least he gave me sugar. Somebody gives you sugar at 1 kilo, and this is about 120 Kenyan shilling, and then goes away for 5 years to lead you or mislead you for that matter. And I wonder how long you will eat or you'll use the 1 kilo sugar. If it takes you 5 years, then it's okay. So kindly note, just like many philosophers have said, that a person or a voter that votes in a bad leader is not a victim, but a compliant and remarkable promoter of that misleadership. You are a part of the suffering process. You are not a victim. You are responsible for your own problems. And that is why, if leadership attitudes like the ones I have talked about above were in every voter, then we would indeed vote in the best people without them using any money on us. What are the questions about leadership? If you find yourself in a position of leadership, what questions should you ask yourself? Ask yourself whether you know whom you are by first saying, why were you appointed as a leader? Ask yourself. And in asking yourself why you were appointed as a leader, secondly, ask yourself, are there others in that group that you're leading that were not appointed or elected that could easily be better than you are? And in asking those questions, you will be answering yourself, because indeed there is somebody who is better than you and will be watching how you offer your leadership. And in so doing, you will be careful not to make any mistakes, because you will get criticism. And that is why you will also accommodate those better leaders to assist you in offering a service to the people. And Mahatma Gandhi says that true leadership is losing yourself, into the service of others. And this to him gives you a lot of happiness. You lose yourself in service to others and you will be very happy. It is not really money and property that gives us anything. You may have all the money and property in the world, but you may not be happy. So ask yourself, is there a better person? 3, ask yourself, what will change with you as a leader? of what impact will you be in that period when you are responsible for managing a particular team or organization? And, sorry, what will change in that organization, in that community, or in that group that you're offering leadership? In so doing, again, ask yourself, what will you be remembered for? I know of these situations in schools when before you leave school, you were never a player of any game. You never was in any creative activity. You were not a good performer. You were not a member of the student council. So on the day you're leaving school, you go to the beams of the classrooms, and then over there you put your name, and then you say, remember so and so of this and this year. In other words, you know very well that nobody will remember you in this school, and therefore you have to accommodate yourself in a position. And what I notice is that you're so creative around that time that you go to the highest point in the class where nobody can erase and then put your name there. In other words, you did nothing in that institution, and the only way you can be remembered is to force us to look at the topmost part of the class where we are not able to reach and erase. Do something, don't just sit there, and you'll be remembered. So as you ask yourself how you'll be remembered, it is important that I'm sorry, you are able to set yourself going. Now, as you do that, therefore, there are remarkable benefits of this self-awareness of yourself. As a leader, there is a remarkable benefit of your self-awareness, and this remarkable benefit is simply having an identity. People will know you, okay? You know, this is so and so. Oh, I don't. If you told him to do this, he will not. If he has said no, it means no. If he has said yes, it means yes. And when you have a self-awareness as a leader, you are very good at relating with others. It's very easy to relate with others. People will know you and relate easily with you. They'll know what it is you want, your do's and don'ts, and they will appreciate you as it were. Self-awareness gives us a remarkable degree of consistency. Okay, you don't even cheat because you do things consistently and truthfully. And remember, when you say the truth, you don't have to cheat. You don't have to remember what it is that you say because it remains the truth. And then, as a remarkable self-aware person, you are very good at taking charge of your life. Okay. When you are aware of yourself, you take charge of yourself, you take charge of your life. And finally, you have a clear image of yourself. I want to conclude here that in leadership, we have different types of leaders, but I want to appreciate that as members of a community, I have insisted here that leadership comes from us. It comes from everybody. First from yourself and then to other people. But in the process, we can have leaders, 4 types of leaders. We have the condemned leader. The condemned leader is scared of his environment, is hateful of his people, is angry, temperamental, and actually enjoys to see other people suffer. The second type of leader we have is the complainer leader. The complainer leader complains at everything, including nothing, and blames everybody, but never ever blames himself. The complainer leader does not take responsibility for his actions. A complainer leader refuses to understand that he can make mistakes. He's a know-it-all, but he insists that whatever problems that are pertaining are being caused by other people, not himself. He never looks inside. He's constantly looking outside. Third leader is the comfort zoner. The comfort zoner, as soon as appointed to a position, arrives home. He sits there, enjoys the position, looks at things as they are happening, and has no control on what is happening. These are the kind of leaders that are managed by their kitchen cabinets. They are not on their own. They are there as long as they are fed. I've had stories of MPs, members of parliament in our country, Kenya, that cannot even control the patronage of the CDF. It is run by the managers and the officials they have appointed. And sometimes, occasionally, having made some money, they buy the MP, member of parliament, a car for his wife so that he does not speak. But as a leader, don't just sit there. Do something. Leadership is not a sitting position. Leadership, young men, is a standing position. The final leader is the champion leader, and this is where I belong. A leader who makes things happen. A leader who appreciates teamwork. A leader who delegates. A leader who doesn't fear what the rest are going to think if they did what he was supposed to do by authority for him. A leader who supervises and a leader who allows others to grow. In fact, the best leader does not create followers. The best leader creates other leaders. And that is why, therefore, with the words of Scout Zing, there are leadership tips here that I want you to appreciate. The difference between a boss and the leader. According to Scout Zing, a leader coaches people, but a boss drives them. He's a mule driver. 2, leaders depend on goodwill, but bosses depend on authority. Leaders inspire enthusiasm, but bosses inspire fear. This reminds me, was a principal of a school where the students feared the teachers and the principal. The sight of the principal made the children tear away around in the compound as long as he doesn't reach near. That is not leadership. That is not even principalship. As a leader, inspire enthusiasm. Let the people respect you, but not fear you. And when you are feared, ask yourself, what is it? What do you earn by being feared? These people will never even come to you to register a problem in the compound or in the organization where you're working. And following the Kiswahili saying, nyani haoni kundule, how will you ever see a blemish on your back? Because we don't have eyes at the back like the African traditional stories propagated. So indeed, create enthusiasm and not fear. Scout Zing also says, such a leader says we, everything, in everything. We are going to do this, we will do that, and we hope that we will achieve this objective. But a boss says, I say, I will not. A leader fixes the breakdown. A leader fixes the breakdown. He takes responsibility for his actions. But a boss fixes the blame. The buck does not stop with the boss, but the buck stops with the leader. Bosses fix blame. It was so and so. It was so and so. It wasn't me. And I did not been for so and so. I wouldn't have been in this. Leaders show how it is done. Leaders show how it is done. This is done. But the bosses know how it is done. They know it all. They know everything. I'm sorry to register here. You cannot know everything. In fact, even the ones that don't speak have something to say. I once met a mad woman in the market. And she told me, give me 100 shillings. I did give her. Who are you? I said my name. And then with that, she said, oh, you are the one they are saying did this and this and that. And that is when I realized what was going on about me in that market. By machination, by mad slinging, and so forth. From a mad woman in the center of the market. What if I did not stop to listen to her? My young leaders of tomorrow, even the people that don't speak, those that don't see, have something to say. Spend some time and listen to them, and choose to take it or leave it. And finally, Scout Zing says, leaders say, we proceed. Leaders say, we proceed. Let us go. But bosses say, go. From today, take time to proceed with your members and achieve together. But don't order them to go. They are not mules. They are not bulls. They are on a yoke. It is a working team to the achievement of objectives. Thank you so much. And I want to believe that this will assist you to think positively about what you want to achieve. We can spend more, and we have a working organization where we lead and train people to become better selves. Thank you so much, and God bless you.